Hello, you're listening to the G.O.A.T Pod. This is a podcast where we discuss the best-selling albums of all time. Hosted by Jason Purrier, Stephen Schott, Daniel Brown, and me, Jared Slusher. Now let's go ahead and dive into today's episode.
What is up, everybody?
How we doing? How we
It's your
doing?
boy. It's your boy Beans.
Yeah.
Beans.
We're back with another episode of Goats. I'm gonna be hosting this episode, so you know what that means. Things are gonna get weird, probably. So
What a way to start.
That's what we've been hoping for.
yeah. So in that spirit, I was just wondering, in the on the theme of this album that we're going to be talking about today, what line in the song Hotel California would you say embodies you, or what would you would use it as like a dating profile tagline?
Oh, that's interesting.
This is
Man.
Yeah, put a spin on it from what we talked about earlier. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that
so,
you're saying
it's
it
a
as if you're reading
here.
something.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just distracted. I've got
okay.
my computer today.
I got it. And I do want to say, at least for all of us, we're looking at Google's lyrics lines, and we're taking one
Yes.
line. Is that correct? So with the shift in the
Just
question
one
that I
line?
was-
Like, we're not
just one
co-
line,
Oh,
not a
boy.
whole phrase, just one line. I have one. And I'm gonna go first because I don't want y'all to take it because I feel like it's the best line possible. Since it's a tagline on your dating app, I'm just gonna go with "Such a lovely face."
I saw
Oh.
that. Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, that's
That's it.
pretty vanilla, Jason.
Hey, what can I say? I'm married. I don't have a dating
Yeah.
profile.
That's fair. All right. How about J-Dog?
I already went.
The other one.
You mean Jer Bear?
Let's see. I have never had to make a dating profile, but if I did and I had to choose a line from this song, I think I'm going to go with Welcome to the Hotel California.
Boo.
That's more vanilla than Jason's.
I have
Yeah, that's-
another
Whoa,
one.
let me
If you-
pull
name
the
of the
title
song.
of the song.
I have
We'll-
another one.
we'll go
If
with-
neither of y'all take it. I'm just going to say
We'll-
it so it gets
we'll
said.
go with,
but y'all go first.
We'll do all the runner-ups after everybody is gone, because there's like so many
Sure.
like cool ones that I'm seeing right now. So Daniel.
Yeah,
For-
mine
yeah,
would
go
easily
ahead.
be, last thing I remember, I was... That's it. One
That's
line.
where the line ends.
One
I
line.
respect that. You followed
Yeah.
the rules.
What about you, Steven?
Yeah, Beans.
I mean, Beans. I'm so sorry.
Dude, you doxed me again.
I doxed him again.
I would probably go with Bring Your Alibis.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That was a good one.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
That's a good one.
Because if you're with me, you're committing crimes.
It's getting weird.
It's getting weird.
it's getting weird.
The one I caught after y'all started saying them, again, I would not do this on my own profile, but if I saw this on a profile, I would laugh a lot, and I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven or this could be hell.
I think a line, if I saw it on a dating profile, I would run for the hills, is the last one. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's funny.
Please bring me my wine.
Yeah, that was on my list. Just she got a lot of pretty boys that she calls friends.
But they just can't kill the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good ones.
How they dance in the courtyard.
Yeah. Well, the astute listener may have guessed already, but today, this episode, we're doing Hotel California by Eagles.
Cacao.
Or the Eagles. And let's see, that had 31.8 certified sold copies, and they claim
In the millions.
million.
31.8 copies. That's
Yeah, I mean,
Totally.
you know, I yeah, I'm in million, 31.8 million. I mean, I feel like I could sell 31.8, records if I wanted to.
I'd buy the
31
.8.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2
Yeah.
cents of the CD broke, and so you got to get rid of it somehow.
Yeah.
Call Jason.
Yeah, but this is a fairly well-known album. Everybody knows at least one song on this album. So let's go ahead and get into it. Jarrett, you have some background information about this album for us?
Yeah, man. So, Hotel California by the Eagles was released December 8th in 1976, recorded March through October of that year as well. It is the 5th studio album that the Eagles have done, and the band members at this time are Don Henley, who does drums and vocals, Don Felder, so 2 Dons, on guitar, Joe Walsh, who you may know from the James Gang, or if you don't know, he's still from the James Gang, and he does guitar and vocals. Randy Meisner on bass and vocals. This is the last album where he is on bass. And then Glenn Frey on guitar, vocals, and keyboard. This was produced
That's
by...
impressive.
Yeah, was produced by Bill Simzik. So I'm going to choose to pronounce that name. And he essentially worked with Joe Walsh previously with the James Gang on their albums. And this was written during the period where again, it's their 5th album, so they've gained some momentum, some notoriety in their earlier hits. And they actually had just had a falling out with or fired their guitar player. And of course, his name is escaping me right at this moment, but they hired Joe Walsh to come in and fill his spot. And the record label's like, hey, we're going to put out a greatest hits album. And the band's like, great. That gives us more time to work on this next album and write those songs. And of course, if you know, that greatest hits album is currently the best-selling album in United States of America. It's also on this list, but we're not doing compilation albums like greatest hits this run through of the podcast. Right. I think actually on the list, if I go and look at it, it is right above this one.
Wow.
Yeah. So Hotel California has 31.8 million certified copies. The greatest hits has 41.2 million certified copies. So Eagles know what they're doing when it comes to songwriting.
Seriously.
And actually, Don Henley had this to say about the album when after it was released. He said about the themes of the songs in the album, and you can find this on Wikipedia, but he says, they're the same themes that run through all of our work. Loss of innocence, the cost of naivety, the perils of fame, of excess, exploration of the dark underbelly. The dark underbelly of the American dream, idealism realized and idealism thwarted, illusion versus reality, the difficulties of balancing loving relationships and work, trying to square the conflicting relationship between business and art. I think you can definitely tell that in the fact that their label wanted to put out a greatest hits album, and although they weren't for it, they went with it anyway. And the corruption in politics, the fading away of the 60s dream of peace, love, and understanding. So all of that is what's encompassed in this album. And fun little note about the recording is that Black Sabbath was also recording I think it's their 6th album, Technical Ecstasy, next door. And that resulted in the Eagles having to re-record songs and parts of songs because of all the noise that was coming through the walls.
Wait, you're telling me Black Sabbath turns it up?
They seem like very modest fellows.
Yeah, that's the background. That's what's going on.
Nice.
This is a side background thing. It was just my favorite quote in all of the Wikipedia article on this. And I just want to say, I don't know exactly how they're getting this number, but I still thought it was a great thing. They say that Hotel California, the song, has been performed at least 2,204 times by 167 different artists by the end of 2021. And
Wow.
at least what they're saying is it's from a source that talks about set lists. So as bands are playing publicly, they'll put out set lists and they get logged for history.
Gotcha.
So this is not including every single acoustic guitar player that thinks they're cool with a 12 string at every bar in America. But
Looking at you, Lenny Kravitz.
exactly.
Whoa, what's with the
nonetheless,
drive-by?
I think
Lenny
that's a
Kravitz.
really neat number to show
Quite a fast lane.
the broadness of how this album and that song specifically has gone out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that they had a greatest hits album and then came out with this album,
Yeah.
which is like one of their biggest albums, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of the other ones
so
are on the
that's-
list.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. So the Eagles know what they're doing. And Jarrett, why don't you go ahead and list some tracks for us on this album?
All right. Yeah. So we've got on side 1, Hotel California, which obviously is a single. New Kid in Town, which was the lead single. That's the one that started off the singles in this album. Life in the Fast Lane, also a single. And then closing off side 1 with Wasted Time. Starting side 2, we've got Wasted Time Reprise, Victim of Love, Pretty Maids All in a Row, Try and Love Again, and finishing the album with The Last Resort.
Nice. That is fitting. The Last Resort is the last song.
Yes.
So the lyrics and themes, Jarrett, that quote that you read really sums up the lyrics and themes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's still worth talking about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hotel California was, to me, it seemed like it stood out in a lot of ways from the other songs. Like none of the other songs to me really sounded like it. But I feel like the actual themes and what Hotel California is about does embody the whole album, because it's like this, Hotel California is like this metaphor for this, the California dream, and sort of the ways that it disappoints and corrupts, but it starts off with offering like this like golden dream to go after. But
Yeah. And that was the first song they wrote for the album too. Like they started writing and that was the first one, and then everything else came out of that idea. So everything really does have a hint of that theme going throughout it.
Yeah.
And I want to say, is it Odysseus where there's that place where the men go to and can get trapped by all the different
the sirens.
yeah.
That's the Odyssey.
Yeah.
The Odyssey, yeah.
Yeah,
Or just
but
what I feel
he
Hotel
tells
California
his
is.
crew members
Yeah.
To tie him down and plug his ears with... Or no,
Wait, no.
because he didn't want to plug his ears.
Yeah. They
So
all
he had
put
his crew members
wax in
tie him
their
down.
ears.
So yeah.
No, I think that's a different part I'm thinking of. I am thinking of the Odyssey, but it's
Well, there's
a particular place where
There
men
was like
go
a-
and get sidetracked.
the enchantress
casino.
and minor goddess Circe
Yes.
traps him there, and traps his crew there for a long time, and she tries to woo him.
Yes, that's it. That's what I'm
Yes.
thinking of. That's the feeling I get like when I think of Hotel California.
Yeah,
Is come to this place where all your vices are exposed and exploited.
it's like that scene in The Lightning Thief, either the book or the movie, where they keep eating the lotus flowers and never leave. Spoiler alert, it's from 2000 and whatever. So if you haven't read it, read it.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick, I went to Google just trying to figure out where that was, and I searched men getting trapped by Homer. Like, the first thing that pops up is Homer trapped inside 2 vending machines from The Simpsons.
Oh so funny.
Wow.
So yeah, ask Google with more words when you ask it questions.
Yeah.
That's,
More details.
that shows where America's priorities are. Yeah. But anything else on the lyrics that you wanted to talk about? I think the comparison to Circe or whatever that was is
Circle
is
K.
apt because because the Hotel California is this place of vice, but it ends up being a prison in the end.
Yeah. It looks appealing because it's like appealing to your desires, but then if you just give in to your desires all the time, then it becomes numbing, and then you're trapped in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, the other point I was going to say, just on lyrics and themes, I think this is another one of those albums that we have a lot of lyrics that are reminiscent of like operatic writing or storytelling writing or almost musical theater-esque writing, that we're telling these like grandiose stories with like deep imagery, that it is interesting. Like when we look back, like there's certain albums that I scroll back through, I'm like, yeah, I see how they do it. But then we also have albums like Come On Over that there is no, like, not even the slightest in Shania Twain's writing that feels like, oh, this is from like an opera. Like it's very just like personable writing, which has its own relation. But then we have albums like this, or albums like Rumors, albums like Bat Out of Hell, albums like Jagged Little Pill, either that use a little bit more verbiage in what they're telling rather than just relatable text. Led Zeppelin 4 has similar things. So it's interesting to see when we go up the list, like how many of them have that more grandiose language versus just super common, oh, I relate to this exact experience type language. Because I don't think any of us have yet been trapped in a hotel in California. But the sentiment, I do speak from three of us here. Beans has his own experiences. That's why he tells you bring alibis.
That's why we call him Beans now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to protect my identity.
Exactly.
When I loved that the last verbal line in the whole album is just, you call some place paradise, kiss it goodbye.
Yeah, the last resort.
Just this, like, I don't know, for me it was kind of an eerie ending to it. Sort of this like, hold your paradise, hold reality kind of loosely and let it go.
And because the idea is that humanity, especially Americans, like those who are pioneering America and the westward expansion, it's like you have this place that is awesome, that has its own rich history, and then they just come and like humanity basically kills it because it exploits the land and makes it unbearable to live anymore, and you have to go somewhere else, and then you do the same thing there. So yeah, it's definitely, like, it sounds really pretty, but it's also really dark.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like Hotel California can be, Hotel America. Mic drop there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, there's the American dream.
Yeah.
And it's, sold to us as something that's attainable, but then you pursue it, and then you get trapped into, things that you didn't anticipate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like in How I Met Your Mother, where Marshall wants to be a lawyer and save the earth, and then he becomes a lawyer that kills the earth, and other stuff happens too. Maybe the mother gets. I'm in season 8. I haven't even met the mom yet, so.
Wow. You don't meet the mom until like way later, right?
The end, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of no show once you meet the mother.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
It was Bruce Willis the whole time.
Dang it, the whole time. Because he's a neat
as
guy.
the mother.
That's a different TV show.
Yeah. Musical nidities. / hot takes.
Yeah, Jason, any hot takes this time?
I really didn't have much on hot takes, so I'll give this. I'm a sucker for bands. Love great artists, but I think there's some level that, like, as great as you can be as an artist, there's something you just can't recreate as a single artist with other instrumentalists that you can get with the right combinations of musicians together.
For sure.
Even especially like when it comes to the Eagles, I think one of their greatest accomplishments, acknowledgments, is their harmonies. And I think we see some of the sweetness of not having the band in harmonies when we listen to things from Michael Jackson, but when you're layering the same voice, you get a different harmony. Even as much as he varied the way that he sang, it's still the same voice. And you notice that in Shania Twain's when she layers her own voice. But when you have these different textured voices, that they learn exactly, hey, I need to layer at just this rate, at this amount of volume and texture, at the moments that they do. You just get this really, really sweet sound that is one of those reasons that, hey, yeah, any of these songs by any of these artists, you get somebody to do a cover, it just rarely ever does it justice, mainly because it's not their voice. But when it comes to the Eagles, it's like, not only can you not do it because it's not their voice, but it's not that set of voices. And so that's, there's a level of job security. They can't ship that stuff overseas. You just,
not to get political or anything like that, but
but I think that's one of the things. And then the other one, I was looking up a lot of stuff, is the instrumentation on this album is just incredible. Not only like the instruments they use, like you get 12 string, which is not a common sound to hear, especially in this popular of music. You hear it a lot in kind of standard country music, but not much of even the country that makes like top charts and so forth. But one especially, and Jarrett, you were mentioning before we got on the podcast, the solos. There are times where they layer guitars, and two guys will be doing the same thing. Very similar adjacent things, using the combination of Telecaster sounds and Gibson LPJ sounds, which I have an LPJ. I don't have a Tele on hand to show the difference.
Same.
So just imagine, if you will, you have a very tinny, kind of bright sound coming from your Telecaster, and then you have a much more raw, deep, and cutting sound, I would almost describe it, when you get your LPJ using probably some combination of humbuckers. And you layer those two sounds together, and you get a whole new, it almost sounds like one new guitar. But when you do it, you get this sound that I think a lot of people almost inherently feel, oh, that feels like the Eagles, that you get out of the combination of those thrown in with your 12 strings and keys, and then you layer on vocals on top of that. You're essentially with one band getting your 20 tracks that you can get in a recording, but they're doing it live just by the combination of, hey, we're going to use these different guitars at the same time. We're going to use a 12 string that already gives you multiple sounds. I can't find it anywhere, and I know I'm digressing quite a bit here. I can't find it anywhere, but I highly wonder if when they string up those 12 strings, if they're using two different types of strings. Because I was just noticing the sounds that they're getting out of their 12 string is not, obviously not the one that I'm going to get out of it at Guitar Center. But even when I've heard live, it just doesn't ever quite have the same tone. So I'm wondering if they're using two different styles of guitar strings there to get that richer sound. But that is my question. I guess not hot take, question for the world. Somebody find this out for me. And if the Eagles want to get up with me,
the Eagles are listening right now.
At the GoatPod email at gmail.com. Wait, what is our email again?
That was it.
It was the GoatPod email at gmail.com. Hit us up. Let me know, Eagles, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those
or
are.
if you just want to hang out,
Yeah.
email us.
If you just want to chill,
Join the pod.
if you want to be on the pod, we will do a second episode to re-review this album. And that is
don't know.
open to
Call
all
Jared,
the
leave a
artists that
voicemail.
we've.
You know,
Eagle, I'll have to see what my schedule is. I don't know if I can pencil them in. Yeah, but that's really interesting. There's a lot of like nuanced alchemy that went into the sound.
yeah.
That I definitely did not know about.
It sounds like a really deep cut on an album or some like punk band in Los Angeles. New Age alchemy.
New Age alchemy.
New Age alchemy. There you
New
go.
Age
Surprise! That's our band. We are starting today. Catch us
Wow.
on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Dan
I
will
love
be
starting
there.
a band just because you figured out a good name for it.
New Age alchemy. Well, I was intrigued by the reception of the singles, particularly on the top charts. It's something that I look at for every single, and we'll point out to our audience if anything stands out to me. Hotel California and New Kid in Town both reached number one top singles in Canada and the U.S.
Makes sense.
Their respective year. Life in the Fast Lane didn't break the top 10
Interesting.
for either. It was 12 in Canada and 11 in US. And how there's tons of fun stories about recording and about how the writing process and like how inspiration shows up. Well, Joe Walsh was warming up for a session with quote a funky fast-paced riff, and John Henley heard it and said, that's a song and we're calling it Life in the Fast Lane. And so then they just kind of extrapolated around Walsh's life,
Okay.
different parts of his life, whether it was excess or drugs or speed, and just how do we describe life in the fast lane? And that's how this song came about, was from Joe Walsh warming up to record.
Yeah. One thing to consider too is that I can't remember where I read this, if it was Wikipedia or if it was an article, but when Joe Walsh came on board, there were those, especially in the country community, that worried about the future of the Eagles and them losing both their country cred, and that they were going to become like too dangerous, and that would spark some kind of controversy.
Yeah, blow up on impact.
Yeah. Which, you listen to this album, and then we talked about Black Sabbath earlier. Like, out of those two bands, like, Eagles are like, if I had a list of bands I was worried about, the Eagles for me, based on sound, is not high on that list.
Yeah.
Well, ever since John Mulaney, I don't make any assumptions about anything.
Too soon, bro. Too soon.
Too soon.
What?
I also loved some of the best albums that we've listened to touched different genres in different ways. I think Hotel California walked through its own couple of genres, between some of the rhythmic patterns, some of the harmony pattern, whatever, melodic patterns.
Hormonal.
That it wasn't just like classic rock. It wasn't just like its own thing. It kind of bent and reshaped and broke the mold and reformed it again over and over again to what we have now. The Hotel California was kind of its own thing, and it kind of took the nation and it took different parts of the music world by storm. I mean, that's something that when I was talking to Papa Brown about this album, he was like, yeah, they started doing things that nobody was doing. And at first people might have thought that it was like weird that they were doing it, but then it just caught on. And like, even to add in the reprise for Wasted Time on the first track of side B, you could look at that and think, oh, that's a little pretentious. Like, why would you, in this album that's kind of got this theme going, toss in like this cinematic orchestra?
Oh, you think you're the Beatles or something?
As a transition piece?
Yeah.
Like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that did catch me off guard when I was listening to it.
and apparently in the studio they started tearing out the ceiling because the room sounded too dead.
Fair.
Their acoustics just weren't getting the right sound, and so they just started tearing the ceiling out mid-session to get life into that room.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How does tearing the ceiling out
More space
do that?
for sound to travel, more space for it to bounce off of. It gives it just a lot more opportunity to go boom.
Yeah, think of it.
Big
see.
Think of it like singing in a hallway and then walking into a stairwell.
Where's the boom?
Yeah,
I see.
We bring the
That
boom.
makes sense.
we bring the
Cars
boom.
that go. Speaking of the Eagles, one thing I was talking with my uncle about was just like, I mean, we've talked about how they've recorded and the themes and everything like that, but as complicated or intricate as the songs are, they're also simple.
Yeah,
Like, you could look at any of, like, if you listen to the album and look at the names of the songs, you will remember how that main line or melody goes, where the title is in the line.
Yeah.
I mean, other than Wasted Time Reprise, because that's instrumental, but everything else, well, and The Last Resort, but you can kind of remember bits and pieces of The Last Resort. And so even though it's like really intricate, like, oh, we're going to do this combined with this in a way that hasn't been done before, or whatever, at the end of the day, the audience is going to be able to sing along no matter what we're doing.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a special kind of genius to be able to put in all of that detail and painstaking thought into the outcome, but have it not go over people's heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a balancing act. That's something that jazz is not able to do.
No.
They put in a lot of detail, but they alienate their most of the human race.
Jazz was not made for pop radio, but that's also okay.
Yeah.
it was made for jazz radio. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, they do that really well in this album. Like it seems you're not like overwhelmed with anything. Everything is, you're able to consume it very easily and simply.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about we go to some highlights of this album? Was there any, other than like actual specific songs, was there anything that, got you jazzed up about this when you were listening to it?
I enjoy the different singers.
Yeah.
That it wasn't all just Don Henley. Like, he does a majority of the songs, especially on side one, but really showcasing the other band members and their vocals as well was nice.
Yeah, and like Jason was saying, the different singers coming together and making those harmonies, you get some really unique textures and sounds with that, which I definitely appreciated too.
I think there's also a neat thing. You miss it, obviously, with the listening on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you find your music. But Wasted Time ending side one and then the reprise starting side two. I think it's just a really neat concept. I think that like it gives you, obviously, like the reprise has some level of different feel. Obviously it's instrumental, but like there's a level of like completion, and then when you flip, like you're continuing that same process rather than, I think a lot of times we'll see albums, obviously older, that we're working on vinyl, is like all of a sudden in the middle of the album you have this big uptick, and it's like when you listen on Spotify you're like, oh, why in the world did we all of a sudden just have this really big upbeat song? And it's like, well, on vinyl that's a new side. But in this it kind of like helps you stay in the vibe of what you were doing on the flip rather than something new.
Yeah.
So
It's like Abbey Road, where side one finishes with She's So Heavy, and then side two starts with Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah.
Whereas on streaming, it just goes right into it, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right.
You kind of miss the intentionality ding behind that.
Yep. Ding.
I would also say when I first looked at this album, I was like, wow, it's only 43 minutes. Like, is that going to be enough of an album? And two things then occurred. You know, you listen through this and it's a listen.
Yeah.
Like, you get to the end of this and I was exhausted by the end of this because of just how much happens, how much my brain is working to keep up with all of the different moving pieces. But I still felt like when it came back around to Hotel California, I was in it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was blankly listening or just kind of like on repeat on a track, just enough to hear it. No, I felt like it did such a good job of pacing itself that even at 47 minutes, like, you're wiped, but then you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think they chose the right track to open the album, with it being the title track, but also just the one that starts the album thematically. Just like Sgt. Pepper, you can't start Sgt. Pepper without Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band starting and going into With a Little Help from My Friends. Like, if you started with anything else, it would all fall apart.
Yeah.
Well, it's like starting with Welcome to the Jungle.
Ooh, yeah.
You know,
Don't get me started.
dude.
Smash through the wall.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Put me in that, baby. Yeah, no, I rock with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do our favorites and least favorite songs. We'll start with the least favorite, and I'm gonna go with Jason first.
Way to kill the vibe.
Yeah, don't mean to bring us down, but that's what I do.
Yeah, I think this is one of those that's like, it's just such a solid album. And like, the least favorite's like not a bad song. It's just, I have more better favorites.
Better.
Betterer,
Yeah. Oh, come on, you beat me too.
I think I'm down to two, so I'm just gonna go with one of them. I'm probably gonna go with Try and Love Again. No issues with it. I'm just trying to think, like, each of the other ones, I'm like, yeah, I do like that one more. I think that's kind of, it's a lame answer, but that's kind of where I'm at. And that's no hate to Mesner. That's his only song that he wrote. So no hate. Just
Dude,
And he is the one that sings Take It to the Limit, by the way.
limit to the limit.
Yeah.
In it to
Wrong
win
musical.
it, in it.
How about Daniel? What's your least favorite?
I would say my least favorite is Pretty Maids All in a Row. If I had to choose.
That was my other one. So
Yeah.
Covering all the bases.
Yep. We did not compare notes, but yeah, that's where I would put it.
Yeah. Okay. Jarrett.
Yeah, I would say I love his vocals, especially on the James Gang, but Pretty Maids All in a Row is not my favorite one by Joe Walsh.
No.
I appreciate
That's
the
fair.
music and appreciate what he does, but that would be the dip for me in this album.
What is your favorite one by Joe Walsh, if this is not your favorite?
If it's on this album, don't say it.
I'm just messing with you. You don't have to think
It's the only one on this album he sings.
I know. Just
Yeah.
So
Well, my least favorite is Try and Love Again.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and have to agree with Jason, just because this song is,
yeah.
I don't know, it's like the sort of most straightforward song emotionally, and it's the least cynical, and that's not my vibe. So
Gosh dang. Yeah, I will say I kind
choice.
of appreciate that we're all kind of on the same page there. That those two are where we land. Because again, like I feel like every other song is worthy of better than those two.
yeah, I feel like we might get some mean letters from Randy Meisner, or whatever his name is.
Let it be known, I did not say that was in my bottom.
neither did I.
Are either of y'all listing as your number one?
We'll get there when we
gotten
get
there
there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Steven, you better. Sorry, Bean.
Hold on.
Gosh dang.
Hold on.
You better start with both of them.
Yeah, I'm in witness
So,
protection. You can't do that.
I will dox you for a second time this episode. What's your IP address?
I don't even know that. Why would I know?
You can't spell IP.
AQ. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jarrett comes out and his favorite is my least favorite because we're natural enemies, and that's
that is how it is.
That's why we started
the
this
situation.
podcast.
You gotta
Perfect
start with them,
opposites.
yeah. All right, so let's do most favoritist, and we'll start with Jason.
Nah, dude, you got to start with those two.
No, he
They're out
chose
here.
you, man.
He chose you, bro.
Dang it.
You've been
He's
chosen.
spoken.
I got to go with Life in the Fast Lane. I just kind of
Ooh.
just rocking with it. Part of me
Yeah.
wants to say Hotel California because if one of us doesn't say that, I'm a little frustrated. But that's mainly why I wanted y'all to go first, so that if it didn't get said, I could say that.
Sure.
Life in the Fast Lane is probably the one I'm like, yeah, I'll go back and listen to that a bunch.
Yeah, it's a solid choice.
Steven, what about you?
Money.
Oh, man.
Are you gonna let me go first?
Yeah.
Oh no, I should have prepared for this. Well, I am gonna go with. Man, I don't want to not say Hotel California because I don't know if you guys. I'll just go with Hotel California. But I also
Thank you.
Sweet.
I also really liked The Last Resort
Ooh,
because
okay.
it was
Okay.
sad. There was a lot of despair, and it was emo.
If you ever give Steven flowers, make sure they're dead first. He won't take them otherwise.
That would be such a nice
yeah.
gift. I've never dead flowers. That's very
I'm going to
poetic.
get you that for your next
Well,
birthday.
since you asked, I'm happy to weigh in on this topic. I would have to say my favorite
D-Money?
is Try and Love Again.
Wow.
Oh no!
Wow.
The last time we recorded, I told you guys after we had recorded, you, the viewers, the listeners, whoever the heck you are, you don't know this, but I sifted through just like the first 10 seconds of each song to familiarize myself so that, so on and so on and so on. And when this one came on, I told the guys, I said, look, this is going to be a problem because if the rest of the song doesn't hold up, it's going to turn into my least favorite real quick because it's my favorite intro in the whole thing.
I see that.
And it just panned out. It between lyrics, between movement, between instrumentals, the intro alone really put it up there for me. But I'd have to say, yeah, it's my favorite.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that made
Well-
the list.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I'm not.
art is more art than science. Jarrett, what is your favorite song on this album? Go.
Yeah, who needs nicknames? I'm going to go with Victim of Love.
ooh,
Deep cut.
Saucy.
interesting.
Because all the other ones I would have chosen were already on here. So it's like, all right.
You
you
weren't
go.
going to go New Kid in Town or Last Resort?
No.
This is my last resort.
Wrong Papa.
I love Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
What was your
Yeah,
favorite gonna
the
be?
Eagles actually, they were influenced a lot by Papa Roach, so it's
Oh, nice.
That's true. Yeah, before they were born.
yeah. I don't know how time works.
Yeah. Jared, was it
were
going
we
to be
gonna say-
Try and Love Again?
The way I was thinking was I got to make sure Hotel California gets on the board
Sure.
and Try and Love Again. And then it was like, after that, we'll see what comes up. But
Nice.
Oh, I bonked my head.
Crazy things are happening. Y'all heard it here.
Y'all.
last.
Things are about to get crazy.
Yeah, so we're gonna rank this album,
Yeah, we are.
and we're gonna have a lot of feelings. I guess we'll go with Jason first again,
Wow.
because
Wow.
I'm out to get you.
You are
Yeah.
out to get me. Okay, so
Jared's
this is
your
so
enemy, but
frustrating.
you're out to get Jason. Okay.
it's a cruel irony.
I just gotta say, so when I look at my list, this is not telling you where I'm putting this. I just want this to be said on air. I go down my list, and I hit bad, And everything under that to me is like significantly worse, and everything above that is like good and great. Not significantly better than bad. It's like I feel like that line for me is like a heavy cut. So I'm firmly above the bad cut. The tough thing is where in there it lands. Because like each time I'm like, but I like this part about that album, and I like that part about this album. So, all right, we're gonna flip a coin. Who has a coin?
Oh gosh,
I have a card.
Broke.
This is like a coin.
who has a coin anymore?
All right, okay. I flipped
What's
something.
2025?
I got tails.
I can send you a
So
check.
I'm gonna go with just below Supernatural and above Rumors,
Okay.
which would be my number 8 slot. So you know
Alrighty.
where my coin flip was landing? It was either going to be there or it was going to be between Bat Out of Hell and Appetite for Destruction. So that's what my coin flip was. But
Wow.
there's aspects of both that I can rock with, but that's where I'm going to go with.
Nice.
Alrighty. Now that that's settled, we will go to Daniel.
Okay. This one's tough. This one's tough. I gotta put it between. Actually, I gotta put it between Supernatural and Rumors as well at my number 8.
Wow.
There we go. Air 5.
We didn't compare notes, but Jason and I are pretty Justin Timberlake right
Pretty
now.
in
Except
sync.
for favorite and least favorite songs, we
Well,
are
yeah.
locked in on this album.
Man.
All right. Hotel California at number 8 for both you guys.
Yeah.
And we are moving on to Jarrett.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Abbey Road, which I'm questioning why I put Metallica above Abbey Road, but that's a year or two late now. Maybe we'll fix that later. But I'm asking myself, is this better in my mind, or do I like it better than Abbey Road? And the answer is no. So I'm going to put it below Abbey Road and above 21.
Okay.
All right. You know yourself, and that's half the battle.
That is
We're
half the
rocking
battle.
right in that 7 to 8 split. So,
Yeah.
Steven,
Yeah.
it's all up to you.
Where's it
This might
going,
end up
man?
Top 5.
Now I feel pressure to put it at 8.
Don't listen to us. Listen to your own self.
Yeah, it sounds like me,
Jared
but
felt no
it's you.
pressure putting the wall at last.
Oh yeah. Whenever you want to stir up a sense of vengeance in me, you just gotta mention that. Yeah.
Remember the wall.
Remember the
Remember the
people
wall.
have their Alamo. This is our Alamo.
But I am gonna put this below Supernatural and above Appetite for Destruction.
All right.
Okay.
In the 9 slot. I know
In the
how
9 slot.
averages work. That's going to be an 8 overall.
Yep.
That is
That
going
was
to
my
be
plan all along.
an 8 overall.
Overall
Let's see
8.
there.
Which actually makes
Well,
it.
California
Ooh, it makes
6,
it
but
number 6.
overall 8.
Somehow makes
Interesting.
sense.
Okay, well, number 10, Supernatural. We're not going through all of them because there's so many albums here now. Number 9, Bat Out of Hell. Number 8, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Number 7, Metallica, the Black Album. Number 6, Hotel California. Tied for... Oh, wow. Wait a second. No, it's not a tie for 5th or a tie for 4th. It is 3 in 3rd.
Oh, wow.
Rumors, Bad, and 21.
Wow.
Number 2 is Abbey Road, and still at number 1 is Led Zeppelin 4. Wow.
Neato.
Interesting.
I feel like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just going to make this call right now, and we'll see if it comes true. We're just doing a little prediction right here.
Okay.
I think there are only
Prophecy.
2 albums left in our whole list that could possibly overtake it. I'm just going to leave it there. Y'all can decide at home which of those 2 albums I'm
You think
thinking
2 of these albums might take
have a
number
chance.
1?
I'm saying are the only ones that have a chance. I think there are
Okay,
so there are
okay.
4 albums left. So
Yeah.
for the listeners at home, all we have left, working up to the top, Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, which will be our next one.
Yeah.
The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston. Back in Black, AC/DC, and number 1, Thriller by Michael Jackson. Yeah, Michael Jackson. I think there are 2 of those albums that have no chance of beating Led Zeppelin 4 for the top of our list. But I believe there's 2 albums there that have a chance. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You're leaving your predictions just vague enough so that you have deniability no matter what happens.
Exactly. No, I'll tell y'all
you're
as soon as we're off the recording.
Yeah.
I'm just leaving it up in the air for everybody else.
Alrighty.
All right.
Cool. Well, that about wraps things up. Like we said, next episode is going to be The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. And this is going to be Pink Floyd round 2. We might have some room for redemption for Jarrett here, but who knows? He's a bit of a loose cannon.
Thank you, Stephen. That concludes this episode of the G.O.A.T Pod. If you enjoyed this or didn't, feel free to let us know by emailing us at thegoatpodemail@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at thegoat_pod. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time.